put some shrapnel around his head and broke his shoulder.
Very easy. Yep.
What was the process of enlisting?
The process of enlisting. Oh, you find a recruiting office, which just about every town and county has one. You go in and you tell them you want to be a Marine, Army, Air Force, Navy, or a Coast Guard. And they'll have one or two personnel assigned there that's actually in the service. You'll do an interview with them. They will contact your high school, see what your grades are. If you got excellent grades, Air Force, Navy. If you got average grades, Army, Marines. And then they have to talk to your parents. That's mandatory. Even though you're 18, now you have to be 18 to get in. Even though you're 18, they still have to talk to your parents, which is good. And then they give you a test to see where you fit in, whether it's electronics or machinery or weapons or aircraft or whatever. And then they'll assign you to a service school or boot camp, which the Navy's Great Lakes, the Marines is Parris Island, the Air Force down in Fort Hood, Texas, the Army's Fort Sill, Oklahoma, or Fort Bragg. You go there, you go through your boot camp, and you're not exercising all the time. Most of it is classroom to learn about that branch of service. And then you're constantly being evaluated, and based on your scores, they will send you to a school when you get out of basics. And now the technical schools, I mean, when I went to the Navy, we didn't have computers. We barely had calculators. In engineering, we still used the slide rule. Anybody know what a slide rule is? Nobody knows what a slide rule is. It looks like a ruler, it's three-sided. And that's what we used as a calculator to figure out angles and dangles and calculations. Ask your parents, they might know. Might know.
What would you say to students who want to join the Navy today?
What would I say to them? I recommend it. Personally, I think everybody ought to do at least 2 years in military service. It's not, all of it is not fighting. It's helping people. How many of you have been to Simpkins
I live next to
down there? That is really nice place to go and just look at your history from the military.
What do you think it would have been like if you joined the military?
Beg pardon?
What do you think it would be like if you joined the military?
If I went in the military, what would it be like?
Yeah.
I was scared at first. You know, I left a family, 9 kids at home, brothers and sisters, and here I was, that's the first time I ever been out of Louisiana. You know, going from the swamps to California by myself, didn't know anybody. But within about 2 weeks, I knew everybody that was in my company in boot camp, and we were all in the same similar situation. Different cultures that you meet. Traveling. Of course, you have to work, but you're traveling. I mean, I've lived in Hawaii, lived in Japan, lived in Vietnam. I've been to Johnson Atoll, Guam, Australia, the Philippines, Hong Kong, when it was the British territory, Taiwan, Thailand. And up and down the East Coast, when I was on a gunboat. But yeah, I've pretty much seen the world. A few countries over in Europe, so.
What were some benefits of joining the Navy?
Benefits of joining the Navy: education. That's the biggest benefit. My retirement. I retired when I was 38 years old. I still get health benefits from the military.
What were your parents' reaction when you wanted to join the military?
Oh. My father had died 2 years before. He was only 47 years old. So just my mother and my brothers and sisters. And I was the third youngest of my brothers and sisters. And my mother really didn't want me to go in because of the Vietnam situation. But as long as I was going in the Navy, where I would be safe on a ship, which nobody even thought about how many sailors were in country in Vietnam, because the southern part of Vietnam is mostly swamps. But she didn't care for it.
Did you like boot camp?
Did I like boot camp? No. I was a skinny little kid when I went in there. And how old are you, what, 13, 14? I wasn't much older than you when I went in there. How you like football practice?
Good.
You like it?
Yeah.
Every day. And then classroom. And marching with a 30-pound weapon. But it changed you. And when I retired from the Navy, I was a Master Chief, the Master Chief Petty Officer. That's as high as you can go as enlisted. And I could have stayed for 30 years, but I decided that my children were becoming teenagers then. And I figured they needed me more than Uncle Sam did. So I retired in '87 and went to work at Illinois Wesleyan University as chief engineer.
Why did you choose Westland?
Well, I applied at, when I retired, I applied at 3 positions. When I retired, Clinton Power Plant, Service School Command Great Lakes, and Illinois Wesleyan. And Illinois Wesleyan would pay for my children's education.
You think the Navy was worth it, of all the training that led up to the Navy?
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely. The military has some of the best technical schools there are. And for someone who's not going to go to college or can't afford to go to college, I personally recommend the military because of the schooling that they have. And also, when you get out, if you just do your 4 years inside, you don't want the military, and you get out, they will pay for your education to go to college. Which very few companies around will do. Now, don't get me wrong, you're paying for it, taxpayers pay for it. But you're getting a little bit out of it that you put in.
Do you feel that going to war changed you mentally or physically?
Not physically, but mentally it has. It's,